everybody, it's MotherGoose27 and welcome back to my channel. So today's going to be a little bit weirder of a video, I don't know. I'm just going to be kind of talking about all of my nerdy passions. So the whole point of this video is, it is my life goal to one day become king of the nerds. And as such, I must be familiar with at least a part of everything, and I'm actively working on that. I'm not quite there, but I'm gonna get there. So the reason I decided to film this video today is because I'm kind of packing, and I figured, you know, if I'm gonna be pulling all this stuff out, why not let you guys take a look at it? So first is it genuinely is my massive, well, I'm sure people have larger, but my pretty large board game collection. This one is probably the nerdiest game I have, War of the Ring. This thing, I always end up spending like 8 hours playing. This is an all-day game. Maybe not just playing, but there's so many little pieces that it takes a while to set up and a while to tear down and a while to play. And I usually play the light side, and I realized that I could sacrifice members of the Fellowship of the Ring to negate some of the corruption. If you've played this game at all, that's a really big mechanic for the good side, and I never use it. Like, literally last time I played, I got my butt kicked. I barely lost. I was this close to winning, and as soon as we quit, I realized, oh yeah, I could have done that, and I would have won the game. It's really frustrating. Yes, also, sorry. I figured, why not? You can see my massive pop collection. I'll keep talking about board games here in a second, but yeah, I've got over 120 Funko Pops, each from maybe like 20 different fandoms. I'm really proud of my collection. It's definitely something I want to keep adding to. I just kind of ran out of space, so I kind of put that on hold for now. But up there, I've got some other things. I've got D&D minis that I'm painting, and I've also got 2 Age of Sigmar armies that I am building. I'm building a Grand Alliance of Order and a Grand Alliance of Death. So this is actually the first mini that I ever built and painted. There's definitely a lot that I can learn from it, but I am really, really proud of this piece. And his color scheme is going to dictate the rest of the Grand Alliance of Order. So I've got Lumineth Realm Lords, Stormcast Eternals, Seraphon. I think those 3 are going to be the 3 armies I'm building from. I might add some others just for some flavor, but those are going to be the main 3. And then the Grand Alliance of Death. I have a lot of minis built and none that are painted. That was a lie. I actually have 5 of these. I can't think what they're called off the top of my head. Night Haunts, I believe. I got 5 of these partially painted. They're not finished yet, but for their color scheme, I'm going I don't think it's going to focus on them. Dang you, camera, being so focused on my face. But that's kind of the black and blue color scheme for these. Really excited for that. I'm also painting D&D minis for one of my campaigns. I'm playing an ASMR Paladin. So this one is actually really close to being finished. I just have to decide what color I want her armor to be. In my case, I also have several unopened video games that I think I bought a couple of, just that I think might be worth something someday. And then I've got just a bunch of other like random stuff. Oh, like my wand! Havidi Kadibi! Did I mention that I have a Dungeons & Dragons podcast? So, link to that in the description below, but my players actually got this mug for me very recently. I've got that in my collection as well, which is really sick. I love this thing. So 2021, I took a very big dive into this whole, like, journey into becoming king of the nerds, because while I was super obsessed with card games and board games and anime and films and video games, I wasn't really into trading card games, and I wasn't into role-playing games, and those were like 2 of the big things that I think were counting me out for the running. and I got into I got into Dungeons and Dragons, and I freaking love it. Literally started a D&D podcast, link in the description below, for the 5th time I think I've said that. But then also there's the Adventures in the Forgotten Realm Magic the Gathering set. I've already talked about this in my Magic the Gathering video, but it was just really great timing. It was really, really good timing. I got into D&D, and then Magic the Gathering had a D&D set, and it just worked. And now I'm super obsessed. I literally have, these are all my, rare and mythic rare cards, and some other cards that I want to use. I've already talked about this, so I won't talk about it really now, but I have, in the last few months, probably gotten a couple thousand Magic the Gathering cards. Yes, I had an addiction. Yes, it was a problem. I'm through it now, but I still love the game. These are the only 2 D&D books I have at the moment. I do intend to increase my collection, but I've got I think it's called Game Master 5 app, which has been a huge help in terms of DMing. But yes, so I finally took the plunge. I really think the big, nerdy thing that I still have yet to cross that line is LARPing. And I don't know if I'm ready yet. But I'll get there eventually. I recently saw a video that basically said LARPing and Airsoft were the exact same thing, just different time periods, and that made me feel a little better about it. So, again, it's not something I'm ready for, but I know if I want to take this title, it's something I'm going to have to do eventually, so I'll get there. You know we're rocking with Dominion and Catan. These are mid-tier nerdy, I would say. They are definitely nerdy games, but not like War of the Ring, not like Terraforming Mars. There are definitely a lot nerdier games out there, and I think Terraforming Mars is the next one that I really want to get into in terms of board games. I'm not going to talk about it much, but I do enjoy myself a puzzle every once in a while. Oh, I think this is a good time to talk about it. Yes, I was a theater kid. You could probably tell. Loved theater. Plays and musicals are just so fun. I'm more of a play kind of guy, less musical, which, can I just say, I think there's this stigma with theater kids that, the majority, or maybe the vocal majority, are really into musicals. And there's nothing wrong with musicals, but I'm not the biggest musical fan. I like watching a musical. I don't like performing in a musical, if that makes sense. And so I see, it's really hard getting into, theater groups or discussions with other people about it because they just want to talk about musicals, and there's a lot more to theater than just musicals. But I still really enjoy musicals. Okay, so, that first group there, is all my Nintendo games. So I have stuff from really everything from the Nintendo 64 up. The only generation I've missed since the 64 was the Wii U, which I think is understandable. I hope I don't get any slack from it. But so basically I work from the very bottom drawer is Nintendo 64, and it works all the way up to Switch. And then that second set is all my Xbox games. It's kind of the same thing. It starts with the original Xbox all the way up to Xbox Series X games. I love video games. Video games are probably my number one hobby. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about it because I literally have a live streaming. I literally live stream games all the time. It's super fun. I love it. But it's a really big part of my life. Some of my earliest memories are playing The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time on the Nintendo 64 with my sisters. And then, when I got a GameCube was my first console, and then I got an Xbox 360, and I have just loved gaming ever since. And I literally just built a gaming PC. I have a video on my channel for that if you want to check it out. I'm really enjoying it. I need to game more on my PC, but I also have my Series X, which I absolutely love. So most of my gaming time I spend on there, but definitely be playing some more games on my PC. In terms of film, TV, animation, yes, I was part of Superwholock. I know that's the question you've all been dying to know. I was a huge fan of Superwholock. It's a little embarrassing now. My hairline's receding, if that counts at all. But I'm a huge fan of anime. I love just animation as a medium overall. I love TV. I love film. I literally got a degree in film. That is my ultimate end goal with life, is to actually be in the film industry. And so, again, it is something that is really important to me. And if you want to check out any of my film content, I've got reviews on different TV series, films, anime, all kinds of different stuff on my channel. And there's playlists with everything. But really, really love film. I was not a band kid. I was worse. I was the type of kid who'd take his guitar to school. Now, in my defense, I did say I was in theater. Most of the times I took my guitar to school were because it was my senior year. It was my very last play that I did. It was actually really cool. I got to do live music for the play. We were doing Camino Real, and I was the dreamer, and I literally was always on stage, and literally all I had to do was walk around and play guitar, and it was awesome. I loved it. But yes, I play guitar, I play violin, I play bass, I play ukulele, a lot of stringed instruments. But yes, I was that kid, and yes, sadly, aside from the play, there were a couple times I did take my guitar to school and was randomly playing it around. And yes, I know now that that is one of the worst human beings you could be. It was so cringy. So cringy. If you couldn't tell, I've got my Hogwarts poster. That one may be pretty hard to tell, but it's kind of like a constellation. But then all of the houses, Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, Slytherin, Hufflepuff, they're like animals, are in the constellation. It's really cool. I've got a Mandalorian poster, and then I have a, oh my gosh, Die Rise poster. We play zombies here. Love zombies. You know you're a diehard Zombies fan when your favorite map is Die Rise, and no, I will not be taking criticism. This is one of my favorite pieces of art that I have. It's a piece by, I don't know. I'm not seeing the artist's signature anywhere, but I did not do this. Credit to whoever the actual artist is, but I love this piece. Again, this is something my D&D group got me. It's just really good. I'm gonna see if I can hide my face, and maybe it will focus on it. I hope. Did I mention I have a Star Wars themed podcast? I don't know why, but this freaks my sister out, and I feel bad. I think it's because of the big eyes. But yes, I have a Star Wars themed podcast. Link in the description below. Sorry, I'm literally, like I said, I'm unpacking, so I'm literally like taking things off my wall right now. This again is another one of my favorite pieces of art. It's the Tree of Gondor from Lord of the Rings. But the tree, you probably can't see it. It's made out of quotes from the book and the film, which is really, really cool. So, aside from theater, I was also in a group called MESA, which stands for Math, Engineering, Science, and Achievement. These are the only things I have proof. They're little stress balls that are brains. But it literally was a competitive math group. And yes, I was really into it. Like, really into it. We got to, like, build... We had to, like, build things and compete with other people's things. Like, we had a whole map of New Mexico, and we had to build a car that was a food transport system. And so a lot of people built cars. My group decided to build a giant zip line that would just launch food down. Yeah. It was so much fun. But I was that cringy kid back in high school. Okay, we're talking more proof. So first, see all those medals back there? That's from when I was in theater. Not only did I do theater, I did competitive theater. And yes, those were all medals that I won. I've got a sonic screwdriver. I don't believe... Let's see. Oh, it still works, baby! From when I was really into... I almost said Supernatural. I was really into Supernatural, but Doctor Who. This is actual rose quartz. Why do you have actual rose quartz, Elijah? Because I had a freaking Steven Universe addiction, and that's why. Also, I'm really mad. I had this with me in college, and my roommates knocked it over and cracked it, but we just put the other side up, and no one knows. This is also the mask from my very first cosplay. I've done other cosplays since, but I hold on to this one. It's nowhere near what the actual mask looks like. I think the name is Ayato Kirishima, I think. It was from Tokyo Ghoul, which it's been a very, very long time since I've watched that. It was Kaneki's or Kaneki. I had arguments with people all the time on how it was pronounced. I'm not sure. His love interest, her brother. I'm pretty sure his name was Ayato. But yes, this was my very first mask for my very first cosplay. I also had the wig, which I still have the wig, but it is very deformed. Again, this was from when I was in high school. And I really want to start doing more cosplays. Like, I really want to do Aragorn. I really want to do Satan Sam from Supernatural, the, like, full white suit. And there are a couple others I'm thinking of. But the whole point of this video is just to show you guys that I am an incredibly nerdy person. I mean, I grew up... I'm not the largest Star Trek fan, but I grew up watching it with my parents. So I know a lot about Star Trek. I will be king of the nerds someday. Anyway, I know this was like totally random and all over the place, but I will be king of the nerds someday. I belong to so many fandoms, to so many different nerdy things. Like, I'm constantly at my local game store. I cosplay. I built a PC. I love video games. Love board games. Film and animation. Really, the only thing I'm missing out now, I think, is LARPing. Oh, I didn't even talk about reading. I was that kid where we had a thing called accelerated reading where I grew up. I'm not sure if it's everywhere, but it was really big where we were. And basically, you would read a book, you'd take a test, and you would earn a certain amount of points based on that test. And every book was worth like anywhere between 1 to maybe like 10 to 20 points, depending on how big the book was and how hard the test was. And typically, I would say roughly, you would have maybe a 50-point goal for the semester. I was in a literal competition with 2 other girls in my class on who could read the most. And literally, remember I said there was typically a 50-point goal. We would be in the 300 to 400 point range, which just means we were constantly reading, we were constantly taking tests, and I don't think there was ever a clear winner. Every semester it would kind of, one of us would take the win, but I don't think there was ever one person who genuinely just consistently won. But and like I said, books were worth between like 1 to maybe at most 20 points. I spent so much of my childhood reading, and it's something I still really enjoy now. I listen more to audiobooks, and I've really gotten into podcasts. Like I said, I've got a couple myself. Check them out. Link in the description below. But yes, really into reading. I can't believe I forgot to mention that. In my closet, I have just 2 shelves full of books that I've read or plan on reading. Yeah, anyway, I know this was all over the place, but I will be king of the nerds someday. I don't know if I'm quite there yet, but I'm working on it. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to join the flock, and I will see you in the next one. Mother Goose out.